The course that I teach on technology in the future of medicine, we've been teaching since the fall of 2011. So it's now 3 years. We developed this through a series of focus groups with students, both graduate and undergraduate students. And we have followed exactly what they told us to do. One thing was, they said this course should be completely open. It should be available to everybody. It should be open to the general public. People should be able to just come in, sit down, and listen. And also, they said, should disseminate the truth. So I said, you know, there are a lot of good news, bad news sort of scenarios here. Should I protect you from some of the bad news? Should I just give you the positive messages? And they said, no, Dr. Solez, to the best of your ability, tell us everything about what the future holds. So over time, the pattern of the lectures has become that there's a 10-minute introduction usually that I give, and then a 50-minute lecture by the lecturer, and then a 20-minute discussion. It's all captured on broadcast quality YouTube video. So every one of you sitting in these seats right here and now can watch every lecture we've ever had in the course. And there is hot linked table of contents. I think it would seem to you like to take 80 minutes of your life and watch an entire video of a teaching session might be a bit much if you didn't know what was there for you. But you can look at the table of contents, and if there's just a minute or two that you want, you can go to that exact portion of the lecture. The video and audio quality are superb now. And this has had very important outcomes. And it in part shows the amazing things that young people can do in the world today. That's something this course has led me to believe in very strongly. So every student gives a 20-minute presentation that also goes on YouTube. This particular student, Aisha Harian, within 3 days of her presentation going on YouTube, she got a call from this company she never heard of in New York City offering her a very, very prestigious job. And it was just an amazing experience. And that's happened to several other students. There are also a kind of scenario that seems to exist in this area of human endeavor of the unproductive discussion in email discussion groups, in Facebook groups, in Yahoo groups, discussions that are arguing about unimportant things. And here again, young people, normal, balanced, young people seem to be the solution to that. If you let them loose in these groups, they bring them back to normal. They make the discussion productive. So by informing young people about these future possibilities, you're able to fix these online discussions where they become productive. Now, if we had only people who were technology advocates in the course, it would not be a valid course. That is not the real world. So we have a whole spectrum, all the way from technology skeptics to technology advocates and everybody in between. We have Heather Graves from the Department of English and Film Studies. I think when she first taught in the course, she thought she got it in there by some terrible accident, and we would get rid of her as soon as possible, but she's still teaching in the course as one of our most popular lecturers. We very much value diversity, different points of view. We not only teach about the technological singularity, which I've already told you about, we teach about old-fashioned things like karma. You know that karma goes back 7 generations and forward 7, and is a sort of traditional belief about the way life works, held by many native peoples around the world. And celestial navigation, do you know about that? Navigating by the stars? In 1998, most navies in the world stopped teaching celestial navigation. It was always the hardest subject. Everybody complained about having to learn this. And then you had these huge ships dead in the water in the middle of the ocean with no idea where they were. And because no one was trained to navigate by the stars and the computers had gone out, they were just without a clue. So they started teaching celestial navigation again. It's an old-fashioned skill, hundreds of years old, but it's still valuable today. So we teach that spectrum. And lest you think that celestial navigation is something wonderful and positive, intercontinental ballistic missiles also use it because it cannot be jammed. Nobody in the world has the power to change the position of the stars and the moon, and so it's also used there. If you're interested in this course, you can read about the course itself in the course website, singularitycourse.com. You can watch all the lectures on YouTube at youtube.com/user/Kim Solez. These are some of the subjects. We talk about existential risks, those things that could occur in the world that would wipe out the entire human race. Interestingly, nuclear war, we're not sure that that is existential risk. It could kill a huge number of people, but it probably wouldn't kill everybody. Whereas there are many other scenarios that if they played out would probably kill every single one of us. We talk a great deal about ways to optimize a positive outcome for humanity and the coevolution of humans and machines and the influence of these considerations on medicine of the future. Several deans speak. The Dean of Arts speaks. The Dean of Science speaks. Most lecturers are not very medical. A person without a medical background would be able to understand almost every lecture. So it's a broadly accessible course. And we teach about Nepal. We're quite proud of the project that we have supporting the Patton Academy of Health Sciences. We have over 22 full-time faculty members at the University of Alberta who are a part of that project. It's a very important example for us of how the technological singularity will play out in a resource-limited setting, like your setting here. And so we have a lecture on that. You might wonder how that lecture is scored by the students. And whatever you're predicting, you're right. Because some of the students give it the top score, and some of the students give it the lowest score. So it has the most variable score, but it's a really valuable part of the course. Other innovations in the course that are new in 2014, it's now a medical student elective. We're thinking it will also become a medical student club where they have a noontime club where they eat and learn about something, and we will give little excerpts from the course for them for that medical student club. We also have international peer review. This is a unique course, and the problem with doing anything unique is you can get into a sort of repetitive cycle of self-praising. You know, we're doing something unique, isn't that great? And you don't get any better because you spend all your time praising yourself. So we decided rather than doing that to go out to real experts on the outside and get peer review of the YouTube lectures. And that has been very valuable for us. It means every term we are changing things, we're morphing. If you think about the validity of a course about the future, if a course about the future remains static, it is not valid. It has to be continually improving and reinventing itself. We have a marvelous mixture of young people and old people in the course. There are students as young as 17. There are teachers as old as 77. And we have a lot of interaction between young people and old people. You may know that there's science about what genius is like in youth and what genius is like in older age. And both geniuses are valid and they can do wonderful things, but the brain works quite differently. And so when you put the two together, then you really have something. It's the best of what human beings can create. When you put a youthful genius and an older genius together, that really works very well. I said this course is unique. That's not quite true. There's one other course like it in Budapest, Hungary. It's a course on disruptive technologies in medicine. And the person who directs that course is 29 years old. He's an MD, PhD clinician. He is a remarkable guy who's packed a tremendous amount of life into 29 years. And I'm very proud to have him as the other person who directs a course like this. Now, we've been trying to interest the general public in these ideas of what the future may hold. So we've come up with the idea for a new holiday, Future Day, which is March 1st, which is also, I believe, St. David Day, which David Zakas really likes. But anyway, March 1st, you know, creating a new holiday is difficult, but not impossible. You may know that there's a new holiday around Martin Luther King. There's a new holiday around Family Day. There have been some new holidays. So we celebrated Future Day for the first time in 2012. And there were 16 celebrations of Future Day around the world on that day. Melbourne, Sydney, Hong Kong, Berkeley, Edmonton, Houston, Hawaii, Sao Paulo, Thanksgiving Point, Utah. I hadn't heard of that place before. Brussels, Paris, LA, so on. And you might then expect, if there were 16 in 2012, must be even more in 2013 and even more in 2014. And what's a little bit amusing and challenging for us is it's gone in exactly the opposite direction, that there were only 12 celebrations in 2013 and 6 in 2014. So suddenly it's looking like we are about the only people celebrating Future Day. So it is a bit of a challenge, but we're trying to find ways to make it interesting for people. We've encouraged students in the course to help figure out what our plans should be for Future Day in 2015. As an example of mature, youthful decision making, I'm sure they can help us with that. And interestingly, we've used some of the visuals from the Holy Festival here, which is quite unfamiliar to most people in the US and Canada. Just there needs to be, for new holidays, some new pageantry, some new visuals, some new ceremony. And I'm not sure it would be exactly like this, but I wanted to get them thinking about things like that. So I'm showing them pictures, very familiar to you. And then if they don't like that, I'm offering them other things. There's this is the only poem that's not by me on my Facebook page. It's called Crayola Bomb. Maybe we should develop a Crayola bomb as our next secret weapon. A happiness weapon, a beauty bomb, And every time a crisis developed, we would launch one. It would explode high in the air, explode softly, and send thousands, millions of little parachutes into the air, floating down to Earth, boxes of Crayolas. And we wouldn't go cheap either, boxes of 64 with a sharpener built right in, with silver and gold and copper and magenta and peach and lime and amber and umber and all the rest. And people would smile, get a funny look on their faces, and cover the world with imagination. And if that doesn't appeal to people, then I tell them you can create images like this with your Roomba robotic vacuum cleaner with time-lapse photography. And if that doesn't do it, then there's the idea of hot air balloon festivals. And maybe none of these things appeal to them, but I ask them then, tell me what you think the pageantry, if we're going to make a new holiday, what should it be like? What should the smells, the sounds, the visuals, the songs, the ceremony, what should that be? Give me some of the pageantry that one would need to make a success of this new holiday of Future Day. So there has been, interestingly, some quite entertaining newspaper articles about me and the course. And you might say, well, gee, that must help you get students. Well, you know that students don't read newspapers. So I'm reaching lots of other people, but it doesn't reach very many students. We have to make this general area of futurism, of interest in the future, of thinking of how to make the future positive, of how to make it a post-scarcity utopia world rather than going the other way of a very dystopian outcome. And so we have to have the barrier to entry be very low. How are we doing disseminating this idea? Now, if you look at my own career as a kidney pathologist, 40 years ago, I was interested in this lesion, nucleated cells in the vasa recta, and that then led me to become interested in acute renal failure in general, and then acute renal failure in the transplanted kidney, and then I created something called the BAMF classification, and this is spread very well. You wouldn't find anybody in transplantation or renal medicine who doesn't know about the BAMF classification. So I know about spreading ideas of that sort. This is the tiny building where we had the first meeting in 1991. This consensus generating process in medicine is still alive and well, and we have plans through 2021. So how are these ideas about the future and the technological singularity, how are we doing promoting them? Well, first of all, how many people could we potentially reach with those ideas? And I think the answer there is that there is a program on television, you probably know The Big Bang Theory, and that program reaches 20 million viewers. So we could hope to reach that number of people. And how many are we actually reaching? How many are we actually reaching? The videos from the course are reaching about 2,700 people, so obviously there's a huge gap between the 2,700 people that we are reaching and the 20 million that we could reach. So we still have a lot to do. These are images from the Big Bang Theory. There was a specific episode on October 1st, 2010, talking about the technological singularity. And on that episode, was the co-founder of Apple Computer, had a cameo role in that. So now I'm at the end of this presentation, and I solicit your ideas because I'm very interested in what your thoughts might be of how can we get more people interested in these ideas. You see, we are not passive victims of the future. We can help to shape the future as we start talking about these ideas, these various outcomes. On the one hand, the post-scarcity world of abundance, where everything you want you can have and all the diseases we know now are eliminated. On the other hand, the outcome could be quite different, where it's all bioterrorism, more challenging medical problems that we have right now, and none of the technology solutions that could have been there actually come to pass. And we ourselves, through our own action, can determine which way it goes. If we talk more about the positive outcomes, just like I said that you'd like me to give you a positive speech because it makes for a better experience, if we would like the future to be positive, we can help make it so by discussing these positive possibilities more. Rome wasn't built in a day. It's not necessarily going to be easy to succeed in these things, but the end result will be ubiquitous health, the end of war, peace, happiness everywhere, eternal youth. What's not to like about that, eh? Up until shortly before his death at age 72, Isaac Asimov referred to himself as being in my late youth. And we could all feel like that in the future, that you're in your late youth forever. And in short, in other words, all the boundaries, all the limits that you think of every day may not really exist in the future. In many areas of importance in the future, the boundaries, the limits you may be thinking of right now may not exist at all in the future if we talk about the right things, if we discuss the right things, if we promote the right things. And hopefully this session today can be a part of that process. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak with you today. I'd be happy to answer any questions.